So, I am traditionally a Ford truck guy. I like Ford trucks. I like Power Strokes. I've had a bunch of them, a lot of experience with them, and I like them a lot. I have had Dodges in the past, and I have had no luck with them. I had a 2014 that was in the shop more than it was on the road. Every Dodge I've test driven Dodges that broke on the test drive. So why on earth did I buy the most expensive Dodge truck you can get, basically? Really comes down to when I went to test drive a new F-250. I loved the engine. The transmission was actually really good, that new 10-speed, but the interior was a complete letdown. I sat in a King Ranch, crew cab, long bed, Power Stroke diesel, 4x4. It was like right at $80,000, or maybe a little over 82 or something like that. But after taxes, you're talking about an $85,000, $90,000 truck. And I was sitting there in that, and it just did not feel like an $80,000 truck. You know, there's a lot of hard plastics. The seats are fairly comfortable. The seats were really good, but there's a lot of hard plastics. It just didn't. It felt like a kind of nice XLT. That's all it felt like. Now, from the outside, the Power Strokes are great looking trucks. I love that front end. The headlights are great. It's very aggressive, very tough looking, very angular. I really like the styling a lot. But, man, I just couldn't pull the trigger on an $80,000 truck that didn't even have front sensors. Front parking sensors. That should be standard on a truck that size. You can't see the fronts of these things. So I broke down and I went and test drove a Ram, and it was just not even close. I mean, with this big 12-inch screen and these super nice leather seats and leather everywhere and the wood on the steering wheel, and it feels like an $80,000 vehicle. Yeah, it doesn't have the huge panoramic sunroof, but I don't like sunroofs anyways. I don't need a giant piece of glass over my head. Or do I want a giant piece of glass over my head? And to get that, just even a push button start in a Ford, you have to get that giant piece of glass. So I just didn't care for it. The engine puts out more horsepower and more torque by a lot, from what I understand. It's got 4 more gears. I think it'll even tow a little bit more than this truck. But all those things aside, this is where I spend the most of my time, is inside this truck, looking at these gauges and looking at this entertainment center and touching the steering wheel, and just everything felt nicer in this truck. The gauges on this truck are absolutely beautiful. I don't care for a solid digital gauge in a truck. I think they're great. Like the new Escalade looks ridiculous. It's got like 30 inches of TVs. Awesome. But it's not a work truck. It's not a truck. And these gauges are just really, really nice. Ford's got good gauges too, but they're not as nice as the Ram. And if you're a Ford guy and you disagree, you're just wrong. Go test drive a Ram. The inside, just from the interior alone, this truck is better. I went and test drove Chevys also because I just wanted to give them a chance. Besides the grill being upside down, the interior wasn't really all that special either. It was just kind of cheap feeling. And I drove a fairly nice one, the High Country, I think it was. It's a fairly nice truck. It wasn't as expensive as this Ram. It wasn't nearly as expensive as the Ford. It was the cheapest of the 3. But again, I spend most of my time in the interior. I don't spend time just hanging out in the bed. So that's why I went this. It seemed like an easy choice to me for the money. Now, will I regret it? I have no idea. I don't have the best luck with Rams or Dodges in general, but this truck has been great. I put almost 7,000 miles on it. Haven't had a single issue. I'm about to do my first oil change and fuel filter change. So we'll see after all that. But I mean, it's got 27,000 miles on it. Other than a couple little rattles here and there, I don't really, like, for some reason I got a rattly vent. I don't know what that is, but I give it a little tap every now and then, it's fine. But it's smooth, it's super quiet, and it just feels like a really nice truck. So that's why I ended up going with, the radio is way better. I had a Bang & Olufsen system in my F-150, which is the same thing that's going to be in the Super Duty. And this has the Harman Kardon radio. Kardon, I guess that's how you say it. It is banging. This is a really good radio. The very first thing I did to my 2017 was add more speakers and add amplifiers because that radio just wasn't very good. But this Harman Kardon is really good. It bangs. It's really, really high quality. It's clear. It's got great bass. It just can't say enough about the radio in this truck. It's really, really good. But I mean, I'm happy with it. So that's why a Ford guy who has owned, I think, 7 or 8 Power Strokes is now driving a Ram. And hopefully, this helps y'all a little bit. If you're on the fence between a Ram and a Ford, I highly suggest going and test driving a Ram again. Give them another chance just because the interiors are so nice. Now, I know they're about to release a new F-150, and that means the new Super Duty will be a couple years down the road, but this interior is bar none the nicest interior you can get in a truck, and not like an Escalade, like a truck. So if this helped, if I'm wrong, if you think I'm wrong and you love Fords and I'm a moron, put a comment down in there. If you just switched from a Ford to a Ram, put a comment down below. Let me know why. I appreciate it. Hit the like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.